All right. Another day, another live. I'm so excited. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniele, CEO and co founder and chief hacker and head of Purple Hair at Toolhouse. So, today we have a very special announcement, and it's not WWDC related. Are you all excited? Today we're going live just slightly before Apple, not to steal their thunder, but I guess we're going to have more AI announcements than they do. That is for sure. Um, One good thing that we want to show you today is the ability to build stateful agents, which was just released. So, why is this important? What is a stateful agent versus a non-stateful agent? So, when you talk to and Claude, ChatGPT, and the likes, it remembers your past conversations, and you can have them in a nice sidebar on usually the left-hand side of your screen, right? So that implies that your agent remembers things, and it does. And how does it remember these kind of things? It remembers because obviously there's a big database that they built for you, and so every time you chat, and then a week after you want to revisit that conversation, maybe add some context, you can do that pretty easily. They do it for you. Now, this is cool. You like it, and everybody wants to build their own chatbots or their own conversational agents, even more so. And when you build a conversational agent, the agent needs to do a couple of things. It needs to obviously act, so it's to have a set of tools like MCP servers or built-in tools. This is built-in in Toolhouse, and then it has to have memory, which is also built-in in Toolhouse. But then it gives you the output. But then that works just within the session. Like if you stop the agent and restart, it will have forgotten everything. If you build the app based on that agent and you don't have anything to store history of past conversations, your agent has no recollection whatsoever of what happened. So that's a big problem, because when you're building agents, you might want to actually continue conversations. And that's how we build up context into a conversation with an agent. And context is very important because it helps the agent reason, it helps the agent avoid past mistakes, and it really powers all the reasoning ability of the agent itself. So when you are solving a task or solving a problem with an agent, you can do some trial and error with the agent. So you can direct the agent towards one direction as opposed to another. So, for example, let's say you are building an agent that prepares a marketing email based on what you did last week with at your company, maybe a product release. So you want the agent to give you updates about a product release and to craft a marketing email for that, and then to send it. So to craft the marketing email, the agent will use its own knowledge and its own capabilities to send the email. They'll probably use, let's say, Toolhouse for this. And as you talk to the agent, you can say things like, "Oh, read the latest blog announcement and prepare a marketing email based on that." Then you get the email from the agent, the draft. You review it and say, "Oh no, I don't like it. Can you make it a little bit more kind of lively and funnier?" And the agent says, "Okay, yeah, let me do that for you." So as we do this kind of back and forth with the agent, we build context, and that context needs to be there. Then if next week you have another product update, you don't have to redo the entire thing. You say, "Oh, hi again, I have this new product update. Remember what we said last week? Let's do it same style. The style you did last time was great, so redo it, but with this new announcement." And so the agent can just in one go say, "Oh yeah, now I understand, let me do that again." That is only possible if you can store context across sessions. And the problem is nobody does it for you. You need to build a database, you need to plug the database to the agent, you need to store things to the database, and then when you need to reference those conversations back, you need to pass them back into the agent. There's a big problem there, as actually a bunch of big problems. The first big problem is you need to choose a database, you need to secure the database, you need to make sure that the database works. The data you get from the agent is usually JSON, and that JSON needs to be stored properly in a database. And the second problem is every provider has slightly different ways of giving you the context back. For example, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, they all have very incompatible stuff. You can put a compatibility layer in between, but it's extra work you have to do. And at Toolhouse, we hate for you to have to do extra work. And so we did all the extra work for you in a very nice, simple interface. So much so that we actually have built one production app for ourselves, which is our help system. So the chats to your docs kind of companies are no longer. You do it today for free with Toolhouse. And it's a nice example of how to store conversations and reference them for later. So if you go to help.toolhouse.ai, you're going to see Stateful Agents at work. And today I'm going to show you how we built it. And I'm also going to announce that we are open sourcing our help app. So you can simply clone our template and build your own talk to your data or talk to your docs app with just a simple repository. And what's best is that we actually built it with Bolt. So it was very much like byte coded, and we added obviously some engineering work behind the scenes. But the template is just a normal Vite app, so TypeScript, and the agent is just a fetch, and then behind the scenes, Toolhouse handles everything else, including statefulness of agents. So this app doesn't have a database because Toolhouse gives you an integrated database into your agent that can remember every conversation with every user and go back and understand the history and reference it for later. And I'll show you what we did with statefulness and why this is important in the context of a real app, which is our help. So if you go to help.toolhouse.ai, I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. You're going to see that. And then the other one thing is in the Toolhouse community repo, and it's on Stateful Chat Agent, which I'm going to bring up in 1 second. This one, Stateful Chat Agent. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and we're going to go through this app and the entire flow and how it works. All right, shall we? Now let me pull up my rough screen sharing capabilities here, window, and we'll start from the Toolhouse docs right here. Let me pull up the banner out. Perfect. So what you're looking at, and let me make it bigger here, is our production help. So in help.toolhouse.ai, you're going to be able to ask questions about our documentation. For example, I explain how to create an agent, how do I set up RAG in Toolhouse, how do I deploy my agent, how do I get started, or other questions free form. For example, you can say, what are the supported formats of Toolhouse RAG? What is going to happen here is that the app is going to consult RAG. So in this case, there's going to be a RAG lookup being performed as we speak. And now, after the RAG lookup is completed, as you can see, we are getting the right answer. Size limit of 10 megabyte per file, and you can accept PDF and then all text plain files. Now, notice one thing. The address bar has changed slightly, and we have this ID here. Now, this is the ID of my conversation. And if you are paying close attention, this is similar to what happens to ChatGPT as well, or Claude. When you go on Claude.ai or ChatGPT.com, when you type something, your address bar will change, and you get assigned a conversation ID. So this is the same exact mechanism that's happening right here, and it's powered by your agent. built on Toolhouse. How do we do that? Well, this ID comes directly from the agent itself, and it gives you the ability, obviously, to get the conversation back. So the one thing that's going to happen now is that if I refresh, you're going to be able to see the history. If we didn't have Toolhouse, the conversation would have gone away. So here's one. There you go. And it's exactly the same conversation. We did this with zero implementation on our end. We didn't have to build and run a database and then plug it into the agent. This comes out of the box with Toolhouse. And let me bring one of my best conversation I had with my help, which is this one. See, you can also share things, or there you go. I don't know if you can see this. Let me share my entire window correctly. Actually, I'm going to share my entire screen so you can see everything. Let me stop and present again. There you go. I'm going to do it truly unfiltered. Yo, infinity mirror. All right. So when you're going to do this share, you're going to see the share dialog here, where you can basically just share the conversation with anyone you want, or copy the address. And this is a good way to really share helpful piece of advice about the Toolhouse help. You can do that with your own conversation. You can just replace this with your agent, and the mechanism is going to stay exactly the same. It's still going to work, you know. Then obviously, if you want to customize it, you remove the Toolhouse logo, but it's your app, and the behavior is it remembers conversations. We scroll to top. So I started with a simple question: how do I set up the RAG in Toolhouse? Great question. This is where what happens. And then I ask a follow-up question. What's the maximum file size? And then I said, can you show me how to split a file in chunks and then upload it to Toolhouse? And then it showed me this. And then another follow-up. If I have a 100 megabyte file, how do I split this file so I can upload the parts to Toolhouse? And then it gave me a Python code here to do this exactly. And then it told me, okay, then when you run this code with the chunks, just like put them, run this command right here, which is the right command, by the way. And can you show me how to split a PDF instead? And it gave me another snippet of code. So you can see how this is working. And we all started from this very simple ID. And I'll show you one thing. So behind the scenes, what we do is this. We are calling obviously the page, but then we're also calling this agents.toolhouse.ai endpoint. Let me make this bigger. So this is our agent, which is public, by the way, so you can go and clone it if you want to use it. And this is the conversation ID or the run ID. So this is the same ID as the one that you see in the address bar. So seamlessly, you can actually get the agent to get the conversation, start a conversation, get the conversation, and add to the conversation. If we go and open this URL directly, what you're going to see, it's JSON. And it's the JSON from the agent itself. So this is the past conversation I had in JSON format. And it's being used to power this interface that you see here. So this is our first thing. When the page loads, this app does exactly this. It checks if there's an ID in the address bar. If so, attempts to load this conversation for this agent, this one. And with the result, it populates the chat and formats it nicely in a way that you see it here. It's that simple. That is it. This is how you build agents now. And because you already have all the conversation, it's all deployed for you in the cloud, and you have the Toolhouse backend that does that for you. There's nothing else you can do. Like, all you have to do is to just build a kick-ass user experience. As a matter of fact, when we built this, we spent 4 hours total time. This was an half-day project, really, and most of that was actually tweaking the CSS, making sure that we had the right logo, the right proportions, like all this kind of stuff, the right font. So this is what it is. And so now we're going to switch to the app. I'm going to show you what is the kind of flow. So this is the app. I'm going to just go do it live on GitHub. Let me get this out of the way. Hot trick, if you don't know this already, switch github.com for github.dev, and you can get a full editor for your code. And so we're going to look at this specifically here. So I'll make this bigger. And as you see, we built this with bolts. The prompt was very simple. And the app is also extremely, extremely simple. It's a very thin front end because all of the back end, all the cloud is being managed by Toolhouse itself. And so there are a bunch of components, but not as many. So obviously the chat interface, the message input, the button to scroll to top, the shared dialogue, and then markdown renderer, because in agents usually respond in markdown, and this is no exception. Then in hooks, we have the use chat hooks that is going to basically load the history, and we will start from here. This hook, basically all it does is to figure out if we're sending a new message, if we're loading the conversation history, and just render things in this specific way. Obviously, if the ID is not there, we error out, and this is good to like show a 404 and a nice error message. It's very simple. This was built by Bolt, nothing out of the ordinary. Also here, this is basically the core of the project, if we will. It manages all the calls to Toolhouse, and this is just a fetch, and it's a fetch based on what we need to do. So do we need to load the conversation history? Yes. How do we load the conversation history? We load the conversation history if the URL has an ID here. If we instead go to help.toolhouse.ai, we do not load the conversation, obviously, and we wait for the user to either click on this pre-filled question or to ask a question itself. So what happens here is that if we are loading the conversation history, in other words, if we are in this situation where there's an ID here on the page, we just compose the URL, base URL, agent ID, and then the run ID that we found from the address bar. And then with the response, we get the first user message, massage it a little bit so it can be formatted nicely, and then we render it back to the components. Now let's get so this is super simple, like nothing out of the ordinary, really, just a way to render things in and out. And then we'll filter out any tool calls. Here you can see the call to the tool. It's kind of hard to see here, but let me format it nicely again for you. Here we should get the response. There you go. And so here you're going to see the various roles. The first is the user question. Then you have the assistant called Toolhouse rag here. So, and then we got the response from the tool. So let me show you. The agent didn't say anything. It just called the rag tool with this query. Actually did one Toolhouse query, stop rag in Toolhouse, asked to call the Toolhouse rag tool, and then the tool responded with a lot of JSON, which is basically like what the rag is supposed to do, And then from this response, the agent summarized the entire contents by provided the right answer. And then we had a little bit more of back and forth between the user and the agent. As you can see, the agent didn't need to call any new rag query anymore, and this is because simply we had enough context, or at least the agent deemed that it had enough context to respond to the user query. And it all fits into the context. So, by the way, this is a conversation I had probably last month as we were actually testing out this agent, and so it still remembers after a month my conversation, and we can reference it for later. So this is basically what it is. In the case we don't have a URL, what we have to do is basically uh, go and create the first message, and that's done with a post. So in this case, send initial message gets called, and again, it's just the agent's URL and the agent ID on a post with the message as the JSON body. And then at the end of this response, the request gets to the server. The agents are streaming the response back. As this happens, we do one thing, which is to get the run ID. The run ID is what contains the value for this URL here. So this Toolhouse run ID is going to equate to this. And so when you want to reference this conversation, you don't even have to come up with your own ID. The Toolhouse backend gives you the ID for you, so you don't have to really think about anything at all. Then the second thing that happens is obviously we start streaming the response. This is just like normal stream. You don't have to do this if you don't want to stream. So if you just want to wait a few seconds and then get the response completely, you just can replace this with this, something along those lines. So you still get the run ID, but then you'll do something like, let's see, where are we? Response JSON, actually const text awaits response dot text. So something like this will give you exactly what you need. And that's the text that's not streaming. If you want to stream, you can just stream it using the native fetch. And that's basically the few lines of code that you need to do this. No framework needed, no nothing. Very simple, or out of the box from Toolhouse. All right. So how do we do the follow-up question and answer, the back and forth? Because this only gives us the first conversation. Well, to do that, we have this other method, send follow-up message, which is exactly the same as the post, with the exception it's a put, and we keep adding messages to the body. And then, as you can see, same thing, bold, and the AI code-generated apps are very verbose. So what happens is you get the same thing. So very, very simple, nothing out of the ordinary. But we don't have a database because we don't need it. Toolhouse has it for us. And so long as we keep referencing the run ID, which is the exact same that we got from here, run ID, there you go, then you keep adding to that conversation. And that's it. Like, I wish I could show you more, but this is exactly what's powering today in production right now. Our talk to your docs, talk to your API functionality. So you can build this. It's open sourced. Again, I'm going to pull up the URL here so you can see it. I'll stop sharing for a moment, and it's on GitHub. So Toolhouse community stateful chat agent. If you want to personalize it, it's very simple. You just need to clone the agent, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment, and just replace it in your code and then deploy, and you're done. So super simple, and that's exactly the kind of simplicity that we want for everybody. So for those who just joined, what we're talking about is this new functionality we released. It's called Stateful Agents. Stateful Agents allow you to store and save the conversation history and then of an agent or a conversation, then to reference it at the later stage. Why is this important? This is super important because usually to make agents useful, you need a database. You need to plug it to a database. So when you deploy it, you need to get some place where to deploy your agent, then a place to deploy your front end, then a place to get your database, then you need to model the database, then you need to plug the database. It's a mess. It's too much. What if agents could just remember what they said before? And that's exactly what we did. We made every agent remember their past conversations, every single conversation with every single session and user. And then it's up to you to decide how you want to use them. Context and state is very statefulness is very important in the agentic world, because if you are building a use case, it helps really direct the agent towards the right outcome. it, it helps you remember, and it helps you also evaluate the performance of an agent in really completing a task. So when I opened the live stream, I mentioned this use case. Imagine you're using an agent to build marketing materials. Let's say you shipped something, um, you announce it on a blog post, and then you want to create kind of a shorter form email, very engaging, and you want to use an agent to help you build this email. So you start maybe by telling the agent, hey, can you give me an email given this blog post? Go fetch the blog post and then give me the email. If I say it's okay, then you can even send it to all the users. And the agent says, okay, let me fetch the blog post, fetches the blog post through Toolhouse, and then it crafts a message for you. And maybe you're not pleased with the message, and the message at the point, you can refine it. You can say, okay, this is a good starting point, but can you make it a little bit funnier? Can you make it a little bit more engaging? And the agent works on it again and said, okay, how about this? Shows you the new draft of the email. At some point, you can say, no, I want it a little bit more serious now. Try and work on it. Then the agent works, and it finds at some point the perfect balance for that. And you say, that's it. From now on, remember, this is exactly how I want it. And the agent says, okay. Now, if you didn't have statefulness here, if you didn't have a database that would store all this past interaction with the agent will forget, and you have to do it all over again. Instead, with this, now next week you launch something new, you can go back to the agent and say, hey, remember last week? Let's do it again. You now know how I like my email announcements. So go fetch the new blog post and craft an announcement based on what we did. And the agent is going to give you that in one shot or fewer shots than before. So this is why statefulness matters, because it's something that really makes the agent capable of understanding from its past actions and further refine what it can do, leading to better results for you, obviously. And so without Toolhouse, you would need to plug a database context and pass the history between the agents and the database back and forth. And then if you were switching models, you would have to redo all the agent history, because kind of different models have different incompatibilities. Like nobody wants to switch you out from the model they're using to another model provider. Like Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI, they all have slightly incompatible formats, but that slight incompatibility kind of gets in the way a lot. So we also did that. You can switch if you want, and it's your data, but we make it compatible with whatever provider you want. And then if you want to download the data, then you can do it, no problem. So that's basically what this is, and that's what we built. And we built it with with a production app. So we use basically Toolhouse to build our chat to our docs agent, which I'm going to show you again in a second. Here's my window. It's at help.toolhouse.ai, and you can ask anything. This time I'm just going to do a getting started question here. This is going to do a couple of things. So first is going to consult RAG, as we're waiting. Actually, we're using the Toolhouse RAG to get the answer back. Now the agent in a few seconds is going to prepare the answer for you. There you go. And that's our getting started. Perfect. And also add a little bit of RAG if needed. And the second thing it did, I don't know if you know this, but it created this ID here. This ID is coming directly from a request that we made to Toolhouse. So let me refresh the page. Let's start all over again, so I can show you exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Let's say today, explain how to create an agent. So what's happening here, there's a post request that's going on to the agent. This is a public agent, by the way. So now the agent is getting the RAG done, perfect. It's string the response back, and you can see it from here. So this is exactly what's happening. While this loads, we don't need to go through all the details. What I want to show you is that we received this ID here on the window here on the address bar. Look at that carefully, because this is the same run ID that you receive here. So this one is your state ID. Basically, we are running this agent with this ID. This is a session ID. It identifies this current conversation I'm having. And so if I want to reference this back, now I'm going to just, for sake of this, try all over again. We're going to do a new one. Let's say, how do I deploy my agent? And then what's going to happen is this is going to, again, consult RAG, and is going to assign this Toolhouse run ID as soon as it gets here. So as soon as we're receiving the chunk and the response completes, we should be able to see the address bar changing. There you go, just changed to the same run ID here. So this is basically what Toolhouse allows you to do. It allows you to reference a conversation. And then if we refresh this page, we're going to see the same exact response with the same exact conversation. Now, another thing that's going to happen is this. I can add to this conversation. So let's see. I can just say something like, thank you. And what happened is we reference this run ID with the same agent in a put request. So see, this is the same agent ID, but we are referencing this run ID, and we're sending just this thank you message. There you go. And we got the response back. So we basically added to this kind of folder. And this folder is just a personalized folder. Now, if I'm going to refresh the page, and I'm going to show you exactly. There you go. We have remembered this conversation with no database behind the scenes. Now, in our help, we made it so that when you refresh the page, we lock the conversation. This is just an artificial lock. You can actually complete the conversation if you want it. And that's by design. And we did so that when you're sharing the conversation, there's no like spillover. Like this is your conversation and you want somebody else to reference it. You don't want that other person to potentially add to the conversation. They can ask the same question, maybe in a different chat. So that's what's happening here. But behind the scenes, what we did with the code is really, really simple. So simple that we actually just used the Bolt to build a front end with a simple prompt that said, hey, build this chatbot connected to the Toolhouse agent. This is how it works. And to do so, we started from a very simple trick, which is you go to agent runs, agent studio, and then you are going to see one thing, which is our Bolt prompt. So what we have to do is to craft the agent here, then go to the Bolt tab, copy this, then go to Bolt and paste this. And then from there, we got a chatbot. That was a good starting point. And then we started telling Bolt, hey, can you make it dark mode? Can you make it this color? Can you put the Toolhouse logo there? Can you make a scroll to top button? So this kind of functionalities we added over time. Like 3 hours later, we had basically the skeleton you're seeing. But it all started with this prompt. And so what you're seeing here, what you're looking at, is actually code built by Bolt that handles the three basic scenarios. The first basic scenario is actually I'll start with the bottom because it's right there. Sending the first question. So we reference the base URL and the agent ID, which is a combination of this, in a fetch with a post method, and we send the first message from the user in the JSON body. Then we wait, and two things happen here. The first is we get the Toolhouse run ID, if you remember, is the one I showed you before, and we store it for later. And the second is to just stream the response back. You don't have to stream the response back. You can just get the text back from the fetch request, but streaming is obviously like where it's at. It's a nice way to show that the agent is generating the response without having the user wait for too long. It's a nice way to give feedback to the user. Streaming kind of gives the user a feeling that they don't have to wait for too long. The response is generating. You see that things are progressing well. That's it. That's what happened. Then when you want to ask a follow-up question or send a follow-up message, this happens. This is the case when we said thank you to the agent, and we do pretty much the same thing as before, except that we append the run ID we got from before, this run ID here, to the URL. Then we transform this into a put, and we send the message just like before. Then we stream just like before. And from now on, all this is going to be a back and forth conversation that's going to trigger this function here. Okay, so super simple. What happens when I refresh the page and the page has the ID of the conversation there? Well, in this case, we're going to call this load conversation history with the same URL as before, but on a get. And when you call that, you just get the JSON with all the history back, which is this one. So this, you can also use it for evaluation purposes, to keep your own history, to move this conversation to another place. We don't care. It's your data, and you're very, very free to do whatever use you want of this data. Okay. So that's basically what we have, and this is the best possible way. We don't have a database. So if you look at the project, and this project, by the way, is available for you here in Stateful Chat Agent in GitHub. When you look at this project, there's no database. So I invite you to actually look at all the files here, but we don't have databases, and that's done on purpose. That's done because behind the scenes, Toolhouse, a backend as a service, gives you that service that's already plugged into your agent without you having to do nothing, really. So this is how you can build a talk to your data or an interactive conversational agent with just one API and a prompt involved. So do me a favor, please. When you see these companies that offer you this, talk to your data app, just evaluate whether or not you want to do it yourself, or if it's worth going there and giving that data away to them, because it's very much replicable, and you can do this within the sandbox tier of Toolhouse. This, you have all you need to do it for free. So we're giving away these companies for free. This is a company that can make money. So if you want to build your own, talk to your data, talk to your docs, talk to your X kind of thing, you can do it now with Toolhouse out of the box for free. You can start for free. So I can't stress this any more clearly, but it's pretty clear that when you have a backend as a service that does things for you, you're going to be able to do much more with much less overhead. And that's exactly what we're building. We're building affordable AI, an affordable platform that everybody could use without worrying about the boilerplate, the plumbing. It's like you're building a house, and you can choose like whether or not you want to just redecorate it, or you want to build the sewer, the power grid, all the infrastructure that powers actually your house. We just want you to enjoy your house and to build it in the best possible shape and form you want. But just care about your house. When you get a house, you don't have to care about like rebuilding the entire power line and the power grid. Same here. Like in AI today, everybody is It's like telling you to buy the house and then build the grid for them. And I think that's simply wrong. And so we fixed that. And with Toolhouse you can actually now do more for less effort. So I hope you enjoyed Stateful Agents. I know this is already unlocking huge potential for not only talk to your data kind of class of apps, but when we look at evaluations, for example, you have the entire history of conversations that then you can feed to an eval platform, and uh, very simply you can connect it and evaluate the performance of an agent based on the prompt that's been given to the agent itself, and that will allow you to improve the behavior of your agents uh, as you improve the prompt, obviously. So with this you don't need any more databases or any more like cloud storage. This is all managed by Toolhouse. Obviously, if you want to save it in your own cloud, it's your data. Those are your agents. Just like you have the th file now that describes your agent, you can put that under version control. You now also have full control over the conversation history that you have. So, fantastic news, I think, to everybody that likes to build agents, because now all you have to do is very simply just plug an agent, and work from there. So this is very cool. If you ask me, I might be biased, but we are building a lot of use cases, and we're seeing a ton of use cases being built just because of statefulness. And chat to your docs is just one. So let me repeat. Obviously, there's the QR code right here. There you go. Join.Toolhouse.ai is the same. So either or, sign up today. It's free. You can do this in the sandbox tier. Then if you want to know more, you can, I would say, I was tempted to show you the docs, but just ask help.Toolhouse.ai. Try this app. How do I create a stateful agent, and see what the response is. And then lastly, go to the Toolhouse community repo and look for the stateful chat agent project. That is our docs. So we're making our docs open source and available to everybody. You can copy our docs, and we want you to clone our agent and our docs as a good starting point, so you can see how the sausage is made. Because we believe that you shouldn't be paying for companies who build these things. Like, there's no value anymore in this. Like, you can do it with Toolhouse. So don't get to build this kind of things by buying expensive solutions. You can do that for cheap, and you can customize it for yourself. Um, we showed you how to do it, but we are giving you the complete blueprint. We're open sourcing our docs, so you can have this entire flow for yourself. And all you have to do is just swap our agent for yours, and it's going to work out of the box. Okay. So this is it. That's all the time I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Come find us. Don't forget to sign up, and come find us on our Discord as well. Uh, Join us, discord.toolhouse.ai. If you need help, if you want to exchange ideas, even if you want to share what you've done, we'll be more than happy to see it. Show us. And I can't wait to see what you're building with Stateful Agents. And I'll see you soon for even more important updates and very, very, very cool features. I can't wait to show you what we have in the pipeline. All right. See ya. Bye.